If you're a business owner or sole trader, do you have a plan in place to exit your business? There's a number of reasons why you might look to sell a business, for example, growth, retirement, or due to financial difficulties. Whatever the reason, it's important to have a solid plan in place before you come to exit your company. We're going to cover practical advice for preparing a business exit strategy and what you need to do to put your business in a strong position for sale, liquidation, or a handover. With advice from financial experts, you can start to plan ahead and make the transition as seamless as possible.
Boris?
So none of us will live forever, and everyone needs a retirement. So we need a way to get out of our businesses, but also ensure that the business will carry on and leave it in some safe hands. I came across an amusing description for this recently, which goes like this. It's called passing the torch without getting scorched. And I think it's quite amusing, but it does have a positive note to it in that you should plan to successfully pass on your business for its sake and for yours. And also try to realize some value for your life's work so you can buy that yacht or go traveling around the world. So due diligence is the process that usually covers financial solvency and transparency. The buyer, if you're selling your business, will send in a team of accountants or advisors, and they'll pull up the drains on everything. They'll go into an awful lot of detail, and there literally can be hundreds of questions about every aspect of the business. And the important point to note is that most people will only sell their business once in their lifetime. So they don't realize the depth of the extent of this process. It can and is extremely time consuming. So all I can say is if you are thinking of selling, you need to be prepared for this process. Well, evaluation is a starting point in the process of business exit. As always, something's only worth what somebody will pay for it, what someone will pay for it. In my experience, a buyer will always try to chip away at the price that you come up with, the valuation that you come up with, and you as the seller will try to resist. So it's always a good idea to have a robust valuation based on sound valuation principles, because it can assist the buyer and the seller on reaching agreement over the price in a way that's understood and accepted by both parties. There's a number of ways to sell shares in your business to your business partners. I'll just deal very briefly with two. The simplest is a direct sale of the shares to your partners. There'll be some paperwork and some legal work involved in that, and indeed some tax work. Another option might be for the company to buy your shares. However, there are qualifying conditions for this process, so it comes with a bit more complexity and cost, but usually it's more tax efficient, so it will save money and therefore is worth doing. Well, there's a mechanism to transfer shares or interests in a business to family members. It'll involve some tax and legal work, and most probably agreeing valuations of shares or assets with HMRC. But ordinarily, by using various tax claims and elections, it can be done with no tax payable at the time. So if you're selling your business to your employees and want to protect cash flow and daily operations, I would suggest that you need two things to do that. The first thing would be good cash collection procedures in place, including early reporting of any potential bad debts. And the other thing is good management reporting procedures. So regular management accounts and board meetings to discuss those accounts. And every business should have these anyway. However, when you are passing a business over to your employees, is perhaps even more important that you are able to keep your finger on the pulse. So if you meet the qualifying conditions for business asset disposal relief, it means that you'll pay 10% capital gains tax on the first £1 million of profit you make on the sale. Anything over £1 million of profit, you'd pay 20% tax rate. And I mentioned the qualifying conditions, so it's a good idea if you're thinking of selling to check beforehand that you and any other members of your family who might be involved in your business do qualify. If they don't, there's the possibility of doing some pre-sale planning to try and make sure that they do meet those qualifying conditions. An initial public offering, or IPO, is the process by which a private company becomes a public company by offering its shares to the public for the first time. So in an IPO, a company raises capital by selling a portion of its ownership or equity to public investors. And it marks the transition from private ownership, where the company's shares are held by a limited number of private investors, to public ownership, where the shares are traded on a stock exchange. The technical definition of insolvency is where a business is unable to meet its financial obligations and pay its debts when they become due. So in other words, it usually indicates the position where liabilities exceed assets, making it difficult or impossible for the company to fulfill its financial obligations. So it is possible to sell an unsuccessful business to limit your losses. However, selling an unsuccessful business can be challenging. Potential buyers may be hesitant to invest in a venture that hasn't been successful. But you need to consider things such as asset values. You need to identify potential buyers, such as entrepreneurs who may be able to turn the business around. You need to be transparent with a potential purchaser and be transparent about the reasons why it's been unsuccessful. And you also need to consider flexible deal structures just to try to make something work for you. Lastly, you might want to consider selling particular assets from the business. So you could sell the unsuccessful part or division of the business and carry on with the successful bit. So there are options to do this. In my experience, in many cases, you'll know of a potential purchaser. You know your industry and you could have a potential suitor in mind already. If not, however, do seek professional assistance. You can consider hiring a business broker or professional advisor to help you find potential buyers and manage the negotiations. So a professional advisor can help you navigate the sale process. They can assist with valuations, finding potential buyers, and managing negotiations. And as mentioned earlier, most people are likely only to sell their business once, So you need someone who knows the process and can guide you through it.